It is moments like these that I am so thankful when my Patreon members, my channel members, when they give recommendations or suggestions for top 5 Wednesday prompts. I love this prompt so much. Super duper stoked for it. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So very excited that you're here. It is going to be a very exciting top 5 Wednesday. I actually did quite a bit of reading of these manga and one manhwa earlier this morning, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so very excited. But as I said, today is top 5 Wednesday, or if I didn't say, but today is top 5 Wednesday. Very excited that you're here. But in case if you're not familiar with top 5 Wednesday, in a nutshell, basically each week I answer a prompt using 5 books, but in this case I do manga to reflect the said prompt. And a huge shout out to my Patreon and channel members because they chose this prompt. I think it was an older one, but I'm doing it now, and that is siblings. We're just talking about our favorite siblings in fiction. And I didn't realize how many favorite siblings I honestly have until today. And I will say, if you're interested in giving some suggestions for the prompts for next month, I did put the post up for suggestions, I think 2-3 days ago. So definitely comment on that if you're interested. That is again, for the Patreon and channel members. So if you're interested, be sure to join. I have the sign up link down below. Going back to today's prompt, we are talking about siblings, and I'm so stoked. These are in no certain order, but since I read this one last, like the last one out of these, I'm gonna go ahead and do this for number 1, and I am saying Navier and her brother from The Remarried Empress. I am blanking on her brother's name. There is a certain panel of them that I super love, and I know that he's more prevalent in volume 4, right? This is volume 4. Yeah, I know he's more prevalent in volume 4, but I could not find the scene, the panel I was looking for. But I did find one, and they're not smiling. The one I wanted is of them smiling for sure, but that is Navier and her brother. You could tell that they are very much siblings. And the reason that I love them is because Navier, if you've read The Remarried Empress, she goes through so much crap. It's horrible. Like, oh my gosh. I definitely have read more than once about Rashta and the Emperor because I just cannot stand them. And so Navier, because of all the things that she's going through, she really needs somebody in her corner, and I feel like her brother is her biggest fan. He loves her so much. I mean, I think I have voiced before, I don't know when I voiced about it, but I'm pretty sure I voiced that he is a red flag kind of character, but I overlook everything he does because of his love for Navier. Maybe that's not right, but I'm like, this is fiction. Real life, I would never do that. But when it comes to this story, I am just so thankful for how much he loves her, the depths that he is willing to go to be with her, to support her. Even when he has been exiled from the country, he is still thinking of her, still thinking what he can do for her, and he has a best friend that is with Navier by her side in his steed, because since he's exiled, he can't be there. Granted, there were some things that happened that led to him being exiled, where Navier, she didn't have a part in it, but why he did what he did was for the sake of Navier, for the sake of what he felt. If he did this action, if he committed this thing, it would help her to be happier in the long run. And I commend him for that, because outside of Henry, I really feel like he's just the one that is in those trenches with her, even if it's just figuratively, that he is never going to not love and care for her. When they reunite later on, there were some beautiful and touching moments, and I love them together as siblings, and seeing them as siblings on page and how much they care for one another. Because it's not just him that cares for Navier. Navier also really cares for him. I mean, she more or less fights the Emperor, like figuratively, not, for real. Figuratively, she fights for him, and like, why are you exiling him? You're really going to exile him over this one thing because it's so outrageous. And the Emperor definitely has some hatred towards her brother for sure. I love her brother and just how much he cares for Navier. They are so close as siblings, and I knew for sure that I had to feature them because I just really, really enjoy them both. The manga that I did read quite a bit of this morning. So for number 2, I'm going to say the Mia twins from Haikyuu. You have Asumu right here and then Osamu. I love them in this series. When we get their backstory and we just see how they are as siblings, they are so unhinged. They are so unhinged. They are one of my duo favorite characters in this manga and just in general. I actually even decorated last year my reading journal. I decorated in the twins because I just really love them, and I was trying to think of a one set example of how much or why, I should say, of why I love them. And this volume did not have the backstory, but seeing them in action, seeing them play volleyball is incredible. They really build one another up. Do they fight a lot? Yes, they really do. I was like, I feel like out of all the siblings I featured today, I feel like they are the most realistic in being captured, how siblings argue just so much. I don't have any siblings my age. I mean, my step siblings are younger than me, but we're close now, but growing up, I feel like we weren't quite as close. And then my half sister is like significantly younger than me. So I only can see siblings through my kids and how they argue. And so I feel like the Mia twins, they argue so much, but they care for one another so very much. And the way, again, they are able to push one another to go higher, how they do things together all the time. They really are their greatest partner, whether that's like their partner in crime or their partner in lifting and building one another up. They are partners, and I enjoyed every moment, except for maybe in later volumes when Osamu makes a certain decision, or maybe it was in this arc of the series where he makes a decision and Osamu is really angry and upset about it. But even when later we see things and we see like the repercussions of those decisions, they're still each other's biggest fans. They're still each other's biggest supporters. It's just in this arc, you see the unhingedness, and I really love the moment. I think it's Osamu is in the fridge and he is eating some pudding, and Osamu's like, "Are you eating my pudding?" And Osamu's like, no, I'm not. But he's literally taking a bite of his pudding, and he'll also like steal like his clothes and like, no, I'm not wearing it, but he's obviously wearing it. I really enjoyed seeing those moments into their lives, or into their personal lives, I should say, like outside of volleyball. And then I definitely enjoyed seeing them on this volleyball team, and just the way that they are always bickering. It's just a lot of fun to see on page, though it's very emotional when things happen in this match. I just want to give them a huge, massive hug. But the Mia twins are amazing. I really love them, seeing them as siblings and just how they act and the crazy shenanigans that they have. It was a real wonderful time rereading this volume this morning, as well as volume 33. I was like, hold the phone when starting volume 34, since the movie is going to be coming out in Japan next month. And I'm like, please come internationally very, very quickly. I'm so hyped for the movie. I'm very hyped to see things on screen that happen later on in the series. It only gets better. I love it, and I'm so ready to talk about what would be spoilers for the movies for those who are not reading the manga or have not read it. It just gets better and better, and I'm glad the Mia twins, even though it's going to be a new match, it's going to be a new arc, that the Mia twins do not completely like disappear from the rest of the series. They do make a comeback later on, and it's always great seeing them on page, and I know it will be just as amazing seeing them on screen. For number 3, oh my gosh, I was so excited. This was another series that instantly came to mind, and that is Play It Cool, guys. That is Soma and his brother. I was flipping through the volume trying to find what was the chapter that was centered around Soma and his like relationship with his brother. And it was not volume 4, though. They do go to the beach in this volume. The volume I was specifically thinking of was volume 2, and I love them as siblings. They are so adorable. Again, the one that really highlights and brings to life their relationship that they have. Yeah, the 3rd chapter that centers around Soma and how he really is worrying about his brother. His older brother, I should say, is working a lot because they do live together. I love how his older brother is like, man, Soma is one of my sources of comfort. I love my baby bro so much. I'm like, they're so cute. They're so adorable. But in that volume 2 that I shared or held up, that is the volume where you see how much Soma is going through efforts to help be there and support his brother, to show that he loves him, that he cares for him. Since these guys have their goofs, there's definitely a big goof that unfolds in that volume, and it was everything. And you can just see, even with the goof, how much it meant to Soma's older brother, that Soma would go out of his way to help look out for him, because he was realizing that his older brother is stressed and wants to be there for him. And so Soma did things to go out of his way to share or show how much he cared for him. It was so wonderful. And I definitely think that I don't think we saw his brother in volume 5 when I read it, but we do see his brother, just them as siblings a little bit throughout the series. I think it's very prevalent in volume 1 and volume 2, and then volume 3 and 4. Not quite as much though we do see a little bit of backstory between them when they were younger kids, and it was so adorable. I have really enjoyed seeing them as siblings in this series because it's just very, very sweet and wholesome to me. They don't really argue. Again, out of all my picks today, the Mia twins are the only like most realistic, real life kind of siblings in my opinion. But in Play It Cool, guys, it's very sweet. I just really wanted to feature them, especially with this cover and how his older brother he just takes Soma's goofs in stride and wants nothing but the best for him, and he gives him advice, and Soma really respects and looks up to his brother and wants to, I think, be like him when he grows up, in this sense where he has this career that he's passionate about, that he's able to pursue those passions. And so Soma in turn really looks up to his older brother as well. It's a very sweet sibling dynamic, and I knew I had to feature it today. For number 4, I know that I mentioned in my, December reading wrap-up video that I was not super fond of volume 2, but I am going to feature volume 1, and that is Saint No, I'm Just a Passing Beast Tamer, the incredible saint in the quest for fluff. Again, I know I said in my reading wrap-up that was like I didn't remember much about volume 2. I wasn't super fond of it, but I loved volume 1 when I read this. And shout to my friend Jess Kawaii Heart on Twitter and Instagram, because she had, I think, got volume 1, and then she sent me like photos of pages when she was reading, and I was like, I want it. I want to see this quest for fluff, and it was so great. And the reason I'm featuring it is because she does have a younger brother. He does not show up again in volume 2, but this is her younger brother, and I love them as siblings. He is so supportive for her quest of the fluff, because the premise is this young girl here, she is super powerful. She, when goes to get like her job and see like what is going to be your job, your duty for the rest of your life, she has like hundreds and hundreds of options, with one of those even being that she could become the saint. Like, look, this is how many options that she has of different duties, different jobs that she can choose. He's like, oh my goodness, he's like, there it is. There's the word saint. She could become the saint. Well, she chooses a beast tamer. And in this world, being a beast tamer is like the lowest of lows that you could ever be. People do not look favorably or strongly towards beast tamers, but that is what she wants to be, because she has just felt animals have always avoided her, and all she wants to do is just pet the fluff. So she becomes a beast tamer. Anyway, some things happen in the school. It's like, we really don't want you to become a beast tamer. And so they call her brother to come, and hopefully he can convince her to not be a beast tamer. It does not go well, because he is so supportive of her quest for the fluff. He's like, this has been her dream, her passion since I can remember. You're not going to deter her, and I don't personally want to deter her. I want her to be able to pursue her dream. And I love seeing that through this brief amount of time that we had him. I mean, I think when I was rereading this morning, he's maybe on page for, we'll say, like 12 to 15 pages, if that. He's like, I wish you nothing but the best. I hope that you go fulfill that dream, that you make many companions, because when he meets Zaggy, and this is Zaggy, he's like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for watching over my sister. I'm sorry that she gave you such a weird nickname. She gave me one too. This is just what she does. And in his own quiet demeanor kind of way, you can see the love that he has for his sister, especially the love that he has for her in supporting her to go live out her dream. Even when he's like, please write me like once you get settled, like once a month. She's like, write you? She's like, that's too much work. He's like, okay, whatever, think of me. And she's like, don't worry though, I'm going to be coming home at least every month because I want to show mom and dad. And he's like, great, then we'll see each other then. And I love that. I really wanted to share and spotlight Beast Tamer Volume 1 because I think it's so great when you see siblings like this who are supporting one another, especially in light of how a vast majority of people are like, that is the dumbest decision you could have ever made. And it's not dumb. The main character, that's what their dream is. That's what they're passionate about. And that's what they want to pursue. And it's like their sibling is the only one in their corner. I mean, her parents are as well, just referring to siblings for this prompt today. But seeing him support her and just care for her and stand with her was a really beautiful and precious moment in this volume that I really loved. And again, I just wanted to spotlight it because because I felt it was very touching to me, and it was one of the first things that came to mind because it just stood out of like, that was an amazing moment between siblings that I really loved and wanted to share with other people. And again, it fit this prompt so well because it's definitely one of my favorite moments. Again, even if it's really short, it's a very wonderful, treasured moment that I really, really loved. For number 5, I wanted to do something a little bit different, but I guess it does go in line with the furry, and I'm going to feature My Sister the Cat. I still have not read volume 3. It's at the very top of my TBR, and I was sort of hoping I could read this volume before featuring it today in this video, but I was sort of afraid that if I read it, I would go into like a full review kind of thing, and I was like, wait, Laura, hold the phone. We don't want to do that just yet. But I really enjoyed volumes 1 and 2. This is a 3-volume series, and I think that they are just so cute. I can't remember her name. I don't even know if she has a name. Neneko-chan, because her name is Neneko, and his name, the human brother, is Nekota. That's right, yeah, because I kept getting them like mixed up, and I had to really think about like when I say their names. But Neneko, she loves her human brother so much. The volume or the series is very slice of life, but it's all about her bonding with her human brother, her showing her love for him and how much she cares for him, because when he was younger, I believe both of his parents had passed away. Neneko's family is a family of cats, and they said, hey, we would love to take you in as our son. You can live with us. We will, not replace your parents, but we'll care for you as parents. He is like on the fence. Do I want to, not because they're cats, but I guess he didn't want, if I'm remembering right, he didn't want to be a burden to them. What ultimately wins him over is Neneko-chan. She loves her big brother so much. And again, that's all the shenanigans that you're seeing of how much she cares for him, and even how much she cares for her and his family. He goes out of his way to be there for her, to make her happy, to make her smile. And this is a really light and fluffy series that I feel like you feel the warm fuzzies because you're seeing these bonds between siblings, because it's not just them. There is one between one young cat sibling and an older cat sibling who's really like punkish, rough around the edges. He's a little boy. He's a little human boy, and he loves his big brother, but his big brother's just really rough around the edges. And so they're some of my favorite characters. They're a great sibling duo as well, because Neneko, she helps the older brother to see he really cares for you, because like there was one scene in volume 2 where like the young human brother in daycare, it's Neneko, who's a cat, her cat friend, and then the young human boy. And so they were all doing, not dress up, but I think they were doing some like girly things where they were putting stickers on one another. And when the punkish brother comes, he's like, what is this girly stuff that you have on you? And the little boy is so sad because he just wanted to look cute for his big brother. And that's when Neneko comes up to the big brother and like, you need to stop this. I mean, she can't talk, but you're seeing through the panels, through the action of the moment, like, you need to stop. You're making your little brother cry, and he just wants to make you smile. Oh my gosh, I love it. I really love their sibling duo. And I feel bad because I'm supposed to be talking about Neneko and Nekota. My bad. My bad. But it's a very sweet series that's all around, centered around mainly these two siblings and him seeing how loved he is. And even if he's different, he's a human, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. This family cares for him just like he is their own. It's their everyday life, seeing them grow closer to one another as a family, and you have a very cute, fluffy sister. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this final volume. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video review on the channel or not, only because I don't know if I'm going to reread volumes 1 and 2. I feel like it's still pretty fresh in my mind because I reread volume 1 a few months ago, and volume 2 I really, really enjoyed. And so I have high expectations for volume 3. It's one of the perfect sibling slice of life manga that has cats that works so well for this prompt of showcasing the beauty of siblings and just the fun shenanigans that come when you have siblings. Now for my honorable mention, I felt this was a great one to feature today, but I was rereading volume 1 and I was like, I have no memory of this, even though I've read up to volume 3, and that is Mission Yozakura Family. There are a bunch of siblings. Like, these two are siblings as well as all of these characters here. The only sibling non-sibling is Tayo. I think that's his name. But he is not a sibling, and I cannot remember all of the different powers that each of these characters or these siblings have. I know I don't like him. I know I don't like him. I did really like her. She's the only normal one who doesn't have powers. Let's see. This guy is pretty funny. I really like him because he does a lot of things with, I believe, missiles, and his base is in this trash can. But when he comes out, he is super buff. Like, I thought he'd be like this super scrawny dude, but no. He acts like a scaredy cat more often than not, but he is really powerful. He reminds me of Zenitsu from Demon Slayer to a degree, to be honest, but just not crying all the time like that. This girl is pretty cool as well. She has some kind of powers, but I feel like it was in volume 4 when we get introduced to her, or I had seen some pages somewhere online because she does things with video games. She's pretty cool. I forget her power. She's in this first volume though. The cat guy, I don't know if I have fully seen him. I know I've seen this guy as well. That is the bucket on his head, but I'm sort of blanking on him too. So I felt this would be better as an honorable mention since I can't fully remember how everybody acts. I do feel like they're a very close-knit family, even with this unhinged guy who is almost trying to like take Tayo out, because the premise, if I'm remembering right here, is, and that's sad to say if I'm remembering right, because I really enjoyed volumes 1 through 3, and the only reason I stopped reading this series is because my husband read super far ahead, and he's like, it's gotten really, really dark, and I was like, I really love the fun shenanigans in the beginning, so I was like, maybe I should just stop here, and then I know the anime is coming out, either this year or next year, just watch the anime, because I really did enjoy this series, and how fun the sibling dynamic is, and how OP all of them are, but especially this guy. And what I was trying to say is what this series is about is these two are childhood best friends. I forget how Tayo finds out, but he is asked or encouraged or finds out that he needs to marry his childhood friend to protect her, because she's the only one in this family who does not have these powers. They are a family of spies, more or less, and the thing is the older brother does not want anybody marrying her, and he's like trying to take him out but also try to help him at the same time. It's a really interesting, you can't really call it friendship, but they're not quite acquaintances either, because things happen and he does actually become the fiance of her. And that was why I was really interested originally, because it was like childhood friends to lovers. I felt we were getting that, and some of the covers are super duper cute. But anyway, we're talking about siblings, but I really love how much they all love our main girl and how they are doing everything they can to keep her safe, to protect her, to make sure no harm comes to her, because they care for her, and not just because she doesn't have powers, but just simply because that is their sibling. Like, each of them, they all dearly care for one another, and they encourage each other to use these gifts and these powers that they have to do the best that they can to keep her safe and keep one another safe, and just keep things calm in society, because there are some villains and bad guys that show up that are trying to, cause chaos, as villains do when it comes to like superhero-like stories. So I, again, want to do this as an honorable mention since I couldn't share more in depth about it like I did the other series that didn't have, actual examples of why they're great siblings, but I do feel like they're a great family of siblings, because the dad and the mom, I believe the mom passed away, and the dad, we don't know where the dad is. I know that he has some kind of role in the series because my husband's mentioned it, but like, I don't really know what's up with that. So I just know that they're a family of siblings that live together, they look out for one another, and they really care for one another. In the beginning, I guess it's a very fun story, but I guess it gets darker, so just a heads up about that. And that, my friends, wraps up all my picks for manga that feature siblings that I absolutely love. This was so great. Thank you guys so much, Patreon channel members, for suggesting this prompt. It was so much fun. I was like, man, there's so many great siblings out there, and I hope that I was able to feature some that you love or some that are your favorites, but I would love to hear from you. What are some of your favorite siblings in fiction? Let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!